Welcome back to Tour Truck Tuesday. Bounce on wedges. Tough subject to cover. Tough subject to get people to understand. I think it's something that's often overlooked, and I think it's because a lot of us, our chipping technique perhaps isn't as efficient as it could be, that we don't understand where we're going with all this. You know what I mean? Let's be honest about it. So, how do I start on this one? Let's explain what bounce is. So bounce is going to be the camber, and I've talked about it before. It's the camber between the trail edge and the leading edge. It's measured in degrees, and it curves over, okay? But it's meant to be leveraged a bit like, the best way I've heard it described is if you're pushing a beach ball or a soccer ball, something into water, football for the British fans, into water, and it pops out. It's what it gives you back. So I've brought us here onto this fringe just to give you the feel. Now, the reason I wanted to talk a little bit about chipping technique as well is because I think for those of us who grew up in the UK, me being one of them, some of the lies are a bit sketchy like we've got there, and we have a tendency to chip with our hands really far forward, ball really far back, and hit down on it like that. And what that means is you only ever leverage the front part of the bounce. So as a result, those of us who grew up coastal playing links golf courses, oh, I'm a low bounce guy. Yeah, it's firm turf. Yes, it is firm turf. That is why you're a low bounce guy. But on the same note, you're getting a lot of success by chipping that way. Hands forward. And even that has given a little bit in the turf, which you wouldn't get on firm turf conditions. So the first, if you're looking for a rule of thumb, the first real call out, the turf's firm, yeah, lower bounce is an option, but look at what method you're using. If you're someone who, and this is great, I mean, if the lie's not brilliant and you want to get in there, hands forward, you're gonna have success doing that. You know what I mean? I'm just one-handed, digging in, leading edge, boom. That's a really successful way of chipping. But I think as you travel a lot more and you start to learn more about golf equipment, you start to learn a bit more about bounce, and you start to realize that that's one method. And if you put the club more vertical, straight up, straight down, and you then start to use the bounce, so you start to have every piece of it connect and try and think about straight up, straight down. See, that was a good example. That wasn't clean. That was hit out the middle of the sole, no longer the front. But that was a good result. Not that you can see it, but that's gone almost on top of the other golf ball, because the bounce, if you start to chip and use the middle of it, the bounce is your friend. The bounce leverages the turf, it gives back like that beach ball that I talked about, and bounce is your friend then. Which is why TaylorMade's brought out these high bounce wedges, where I think we can then all start to realize that there's another way of chipping. Rather than going hands forward and doing that, you can now start to leverage the middle of the bounce, put the club more vertical. Listen to that sound. You hear that? That was the bounce giving me everything back. So start to think about bounce more as, okay, if I chip correctly, which is vertical, underneath left armpit, which is the low point, and I start to brush the turf, I can actually use this bounce. So if I don't create some rotation, a good strike, it's going to help me. Now, lush California rough, or any rough for that matter, where the ball will sit up a little bit more. Now you want to open the blade a bit. Will you reveal, because again, look at that bounce. Look at the back part of that bounce there. If you open the blade, you now reveal some of the back part of the bounce. And this is a standard bounce wedge again, hands level. Now what happens is you push down into it and the bounce gives back, clears the grass for you and pushes it through. So again, lush grass like this where you don't know where the bottom is, didn't mean to hit that one, you don't know where the bottom is at the Zach Johnson, you don't know where the bottom is of the grass. Now the bounce is going to help you out and it's going to cut through that for you. Low bounce wedge, that doesn't happen as easy. Higher bounce, standard bounce wedge, lush grass conditions with the correct shaft lean and the correct process, you can use the bounce. Then you've also got to look at the design and think, okay, well, what's going on out there in the toe? And the truth is, there's not a lot, is there? So if it's something that you're not in love with, again, another way to leverage the bounce. Now we've gone 90 there. Let's go a bit more vertical here. Let's just get the toe touching so you've not got as much contact. Turn the blade in a fraction. There's no resistance there. That wasn't even a great strike. And there's no resistance. Toe turned in. No resistance. And I'm just chipping these ones out onto the green to give you the idea of bounce and how you can use it, but turn it in, toe up, no resistance. A bit more target orientated on that one, no resistance. So whenever you get back to our sketchy lie, rather than just having the one shot where you just go leading edge, let's go up like that, no resistance, pops out. That's a scraggy lie and it pops out. Then we can talk about pitching and we can talk about bounce on that and off-speed shots with pitching. And again, providing you give back into it, so swing's gone a bit longer, the bounce is going to give back. You can see there was no real divot, no real catch, because again, the bounce, you can hear it giving you back what you put in. So I want you to view bounce as that. I want you to think about a couple of laws when it comes to it. I don't want you to get sucked into the UK style of chipping, which is just hands forward. It's kind of a beginner motion, ball back, just use leading edge. Try not to get thinking there. Try and experiment with hands more level, vertical, down, use the bounce, push out, it'll give you back. Try and experience that, because that's going to give you a wider range of golf shots, softer conditions, lesser lies, rough, these bounce, higher bounce, especially when you open the blade like this, swing through, just pops, stops, even out the rough, it's not ran on anywhere. All areas to think about. So start to associate your bounce with where you play and the methods you use, because even when it's not quite pure, more bounce is going to help you. That's how I want you to view it. More bounce is your friend. Snaggy lies, go vertical, vertical, toe it in, job done. No grab, no anything, because you got no bounce here. It's your friend. Use it as if it's your friend. There's a reason Rory McIlroy is in a high bounce mill grind 3, because he realizes that on all this Bermuda, on all these tight lies that he plays out on the tour, if he ends up going, instead of like a lot of us do, me included at times, forward shaft lean, leading edge, dig it in, he realizes if he goes no shaft lean, reveal the degrees on the bottom so that it sits lower and can come through and be your friend, you're going to get better results. So consider the high bounce option in your mill grind 3s. Heel relief is where this moves away. There isn't as much here. If I show you my high toe, you can see here, you can actually see a great example, worn high toe. Look at this, all this is used and worn, the mark is here, because to get elevation, you lower the handle, and then you really are sitting that heel relief in. You saw how high that popped up with just a little shot, because there's no wedge camber there, the heel relief's gone, hands are low, high. And of course, when I've got the snaggy one I don't like, shaft hands high, comes out low. So think about this move as elevation, lower, more contact here, but the wedge design, because this has got bounce 10, but it's only 10 in the middle. So when I hit the normal golf shot, played vertical in the middle, I still get my bounce. When I'm in a lie like this, I still have my bounce to help me. I'm not a tour player. If I don't strike it great, I still have my bounce to help me out, my comfort blanket. That's what I need here. That's what I'm trying to get to you guys. So hopefully that makes sense, and you can all view it a little bit differently as to why you need it, where you need it. And I feel like a lot of us just go, okay, low bounce, I need it for this, this, and this, and I'm gonna go low bounce. I'm a good player, I'm gonna go low bounce. Like I say, Rory McIlroy, one of the best pitchers in the world, is using a high bounce wedge. If you've got the right technique and you open the blade, you'll get the bounce out the traps. You'll get the bounce you need out the rough. You just got to have the right technique, and you've got to keep turning, okay? Keep turning the body. It's a rotational game, and if you can control that low point, the bounce and the design of these clubs will do it all for you. Any questions on this one? Of course, bang them in the comments below. Anything you guys want to see on here, let me know. Bounce is a tricky one, so I'll have my patience with it. I've talked about it before. You have to be in the right golf ball for all the feels. You want to train your hands, you want to train your feels, you've got to use the same golf ball every time. I'm always out here with the TP5X. That's the model I play. I know how it reacts when I chip. I know what I'm looking for. That is what I like. Can't speak high enough for that. I'll bang a link in below if you want to get a fitting. Check it out from a tailor-made, specialized fitter. They'll be in there. But until next Tail Trick Tuesday, that's all I got for you this week. Enjoy the process. Honestly, these photo shoots with the guys are the best weeks of the year. We hit up the Floridian, we go somewhere in Florida, usually the Floridian. We hit it up, we see them chip, we see them experiment. You need to do the same. The only reason I figured out all these different things is by listening, learning, stuff like this, trying to figure out what bounce actually does. But when you get it right, there's no better feeling. Great area to experiment with. Just get your feels right, get your motions right, control where that club hits the turf, and you'll have a lot of success.